Is the partying over for Prince Harry? No more strip billiards in Vegas. I always like throwing that one in there. All right, is the guy ready to settle down? We got the music going for you. Call us up, and there's the question. Is Harry finally growing up, ready to settle down? 1-877-TEL-HLN is the number. One thing we know, he's given up his job as an Apache helicopter pilot for more of a desk job with the Army. Prince Harry, he will remain a captain. He's known as Captain Wales in the British Air Corps. He'll be more of an event planner. Could it be a sign, again, that he's ready to settle down and grow up? And there's his love. Cressida Bonus, I believe her name is. There's buzz about marriage. And he's even taking a big role in charity events. That's great to hear. Making a 125-mile trip to the South Pole with injured veterans to raise money for the group Walking with the Wounded. And he talked about that today.
Our wounded, injured, and sick do not want pity. They do not want to. They just simply want to be treated in the same way that they were before they were injured, with respect and admiration. Inspiring others is one of the cornerstones of this charity, to demonstrate to those who have experienced life-changing injuries that everything is still possible.
And nice job, Harry, there. All right, back with us from Los Angeles, relationship therapist, psychotherapist Simone Bien. Big smile on your face. Now tell us again your take on this. Is he ready to settle down or not?
Well, I don't think he is ready to settle down, and I absolutely love Prince Harry. What I think we are seeing is like this split between the traditional and that he's doing really, really well, carrying on that royal role where he is taking his responsibility seriously. He's becoming more of his mother's son with all of this fabulous charity work. But, Mike, let's look at his relationship history. So he was on and off with Chelsea for 7 years. Now he has got this young, hot, gorgeous blonde who's 24. What we do know about her is her mum has been married 4 times. Oh, let me repeat that. Her mum's been married 4 times. She's got 5 different kids out of 3 out of the 4 husbands. Now, I'm not saying that to judge the mum, who is clearly a wonderful romantic, but if that is the blueprint of your relationship, I'm telling you, Cressida is not going to be saying to Harry, honey, put a ring on it.
Oh, how about that? Well put. Okay. So is he smitten or not, though? Maybe he is. Maybe he likes the young hottie, as you put it. And that's that. The strip billiard days are over.
I think if they can carry on the relationship, remember, she is very young. She's 24 years old, and they do hang out in the same circles, but they are both party people. And if you look, Mike, I know this is like a girls thing, and every single one of your female viewers will understand this. If you look at what she wears, that is an expression of her personality. There's lots of pictures of her in the paper dressing as kind of a hipster. She's a real millennial. She is not traditional. She's not conformist, which in some ways is like Harry. Do I think it could work out? Yeah, I think it could work out. Do I think Prince Harry is going to be settling down anytime soon, apart from in his work? No. There
you go. You heard it from Simone, as he's dating the young, hot hipster. What do you think? We want to hear from you. It's open mic. Simone and I are going to take your calls. 1-877-TEL-HLN's the number. There's the question. Same one to Simone. Is Harry finally growing up? Call up 1-877-TEL-HLN. And stay tuned for the most optimistic football fan ever. He gets the permanent tattoo on his arm saying, Seahawks, Super Bowl champs. They haven't even played the game yet. You know, question 1 to him, what if they lose, buddy? Then what? Welcome back. This is HLN News. Now we're taking your calls. 1-877-TEL-HLN is the number. It's open mic. Love that old-fashioned mic, don't you? Again, we're talking Prince Harry, and the question, is he grown up? Is he ready to settle down? No more Apache helicopter pilot. Now he's taking a desk job, going to coordinate events. He's got the young girlfriend, Cressida. Our marriage bells, will they be ringing soon? Call up. 1-877-TEL-HLN is the number. Simone Bien back with us. She's hoping that it's not yet time for him to settle down. She wants a few more party stories, huh, Simone? All right, let's get a call in. Let's see what the folks are saying. Rachel is with us in Missouri. Rachel, what are your thoughts here?
I think he's not quite ready yet to settle down yet. His father was 32 when he got married. I still think there's quite a few more partying years than Prince Harry.
There you go. Okay.
That's
Simone.
good to hear, Rachel.
Hey, let's, outside of Harry, I'm thinking a lot of people want to know just on a base level, what tells someone they are ready to settle down? Or do you just get swept off your feet and that's that?
Well, I think we've all been swept off our feet and then can later regret it. But I think with Prince Harry, look, he's seen his mum go through a brutal divorce. He is not going to be rushing into it. And what are the signs that you're ready? Well, some people will just say that you know, but you've got to look at, eliminate the red flags. You know when people say when you find your perfect house, there's like 7 out of 10. It's never a 10 out of 10. Well, that's the same with relationships. So as long as you know that you have the same values, which I think Cressida and he does, Prince Harry does, you know, partying. And clearly they both also come from divorce. So if they do get married, we know that they are going to work so hard at that relationship.
Got it. Okay. Nice job there. Let's get another call in. Karen is with us in lovely Lake Tahoe. I love it there. Karen, what are your thoughts?
Mike.
Hey.
Oh, you're my favorite anchor.
Thanks.
I'm so happy to talk to you. What I wanted to say, though, is Harry ought not get married until he's ready. You know, rather than a false sense of duty. Like your other caller said, his father was 32, and look, that didn't turn out. I mean, they had 2 beautiful kids, but it didn't work out too well for them.
What do you think he's ready? I mean, looking at what we're talking about here, the desk job, or do you think he's still ready for some more billiards in Vegas?
I think he's up for more billiards in Vegas. That's just a personal, opinion. He's got a lot of life in him. He's got that sparkle in his eye.
Oh, there you go.
Until that sparkle's kind of put out, I think he'll still be in billiards in Vegas.
Got it. Hey, Karen, great talking to you. Keep watching, and hopefully I'll see you in Tahoe. I love it there. Beautiful. All right. There's Karen. So, and that's the question, Simone. Does he only have eyes for Cressida, or what? Or you think, maybe not?
Well, I've got to come back to Karen's point, which is the sparkle in his eyes. Oh my goodness, what man would not have that incredible sparkle in his eyes if you are dating that young, hot blonde? I mean, come on, people. But I think he is very committed. He's shown that he can have long-term relationships. Through his 20s, he had an on and off relationship with Chelsea. Now is going to be an interesting time, actually, because he's been dating Cressida for 18 months. Now, a lot of that, he's been away. They've been having fabulous holidays, yes, sure. But in long-term relationships, when you are in the same vicinity for a long time, let's see how the relationship progresses. So it is going to be a really interesting time from now over the next few months. But I want more billiards in Vegas.
Game changes a little bit.
Shots. I mean, I'm even expecting sexting, you know.
Got it. Hey, let's get another call in. Elizabeth's with us, North Carolina. Elizabeth?
Yes.
Is he gonna settle down or what?
I think he is going to settle down. I think seeing his brother get married and especially having his son, which is Harry's nephew, I think it's really impacted Harry, and I think he's really ready to settle down and follow his brother's footsteps.
Huh. What do you think of that, Simone? Or has it been more his nature to run the other way from what his brother's been up to?
The brothers couldn't be more different, but Elizabeth does make a really valid point in the sense that when our sibling or our best friends get married, that can influence us, but that cannot be the driving factor to walk down the aisle. And I think that they are so very, very different. Harry doesn't have to conform because he's third in line to the throne, which means he's not thinking about his dad dying or his granddad dying. He's being able to be himself. So I think he's going to take his time, but Elizabeth made a really good point.
Has it taken him a while to latch on to that responsibility of being a royal, or is he like, just watch William, I'll do what I want to do?
Well, Mike, I mean, look, the thing is, what is nice is the responsibility that you're talking about being royal, yes, very valid. On the desk job side, on sort of all of his royal duties, fantastic. But come on, as I said, you know, it's not long since we saw him drinking, telling rude jokes. The guy couldn't be any further from what Grandma wants him to be. And look, let's even just talk about the beard and facial hair. We know how it was so in for men in 2013. The reason, supposedly, he doesn't have facial hair anymore is because Grandma, the Queen of England, does not like facial hair and ordered him to shave it off.
And that's that. And the razors were sharp and ready. All right, Simone, great job. We got to have you back soon. Simone Bien. Just some great fire here on this topic. Thank you for your phone calls as well, by the way. We're going to take more of your calls coming up. Simone, talk soon, we hope. All right, how about this? Super Bowl, we know, less than 2 weeks away. Seahawks, Broncos.